We've all heard those slogans being thrown around the gym and on social media. Rest is for the weak and team no days off. Sayings and hashtags that lead you to believe that you don't need rest days, and implying that taking them is going to slow your progress down. But while this die-hard approach is great from marketing and ego purposes, it holds no place on the exercise science front of things. See, there are three critical areas responsible to successfully seeing muscle growth occurring: resistance training, correct nutrition, and recovery. Miss one of these and you can forget about seeing any real noticeable results. Now, for the sake of this conversation, let's say you have your nutrition in place. You have the right calories in place and an ideal macronutrient split that's working for you. The other two variables to look at that influence whether you're going to grow or not is your training and recovery and their relation to each other. This is the key right here. For muscle growth to occur, the right individual balance between training and recovery needs to be present. Let's first have a look at your training. There's three variables within your training that are responsible for sparking new muscle growth, but also responsible for affecting how much recovery you're going to need to take outside of the gym. First is training intensity, which means how hard you're pushing yourself in your session. Are you taking every single set to failure, or are you leaving reps in reserve? Second is training volume, the total amount of working sets and individual exercises that you perform per muscle group, per session. And third, training frequency, which refers to how often you hit a muscle group in a given training week, but also refers to how often you train on a weekly basis, regardless of what muscle group is being trained. All these variables contribute to your training weight, so to speak. Performing too much, too intensely, too often can throw the balance of training stimulus right out, meaning that you're going to need a larger amount of recovery to actually get any benefit from your training and not put you in a hole. See, the problem is though, often people that throw absolutely everything at their training typically don't take the needed time off and eventually find themselves burning out and experiencing regression. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, if we are too light on the training variables, meaning we are not pushing ourselves with our sessions and not training enough, then this in turn throws the balance needed for results to occur out. And you'll be left wasting your time and not seeing any results week after week, month after month, despite going to the gym. So the question is, what is the right balance of training and recovery to bring about decent results? Well, the tricky part of this is the answer is individual. Gender, age, training experience, hormone balance, as well as day-to-day energy output all contributes and should be taken into account. These are all areas a trainer or coach should carefully look at with you before designing you a training approach. But as a general rule of thumb for training frequency, I generally recommend someone wanting to build muscle look to initially set their training frequency at 4 sessions per week and look to increase in frequency when results start to slow or a particular body part starts requiring additional attention. 4 sessions a week allows for multiple training split options with a solid 3 days of recovery up our sleeves. For training intensity, as in how hard you push yourself in the gym over each working set, this is something that I recommend that can be favored dialing up. Out of all the training variables, the most success I've seen with clients is when we reserve training volume and frequency, but push intensity. So what does this mean? It means to push yourself hard, lifting the maximal that you can across given sets and across prescribed rep ranges without your exercise execution form breaking down. You need to understand that your body doesn't want to change. You have to give it a reason to, and you have to generate enough of a stimulus to trigger physiological responses in your body that lead to your body developing new lean muscle tissue, but at the same time, not so much stimulus that your body can't recover properly from. The variable of training intensity is the key tool at our disposal to manipulate this. Just like training frequency, and how it's an individual thing. How hard you can push yourself on every working set that you perform is also individual. If you're a new beginner, then after you have developed sound and confident form on your exercises, taking a set 2 to 3 reps short of failure could be just what you need to trigger the result you're after. Or someone, say with 4 to 5 plus years of experience, may require their working sets to be performed to absolute failure with nothing left in the tank to see any form of results. The most important thing here is to closely monitor, or have your coach or trainer closely monitoring how you're responding from your intensity, and make adjustments when results start to slow or if you're failing to recover between workouts. And lastly, for the training variables is training volume, as in how many working sets you are performing on a target muscle group per session. How best to understand training volume is being aware that training volume and training intensity need to work in verse of each other. Picture them as dials. If you have your intensity at a modest level, say you're performing 2 to 3 short of failure, then you can afford to have the number of working sets dialed up more. But as your training intensity increases over time, a good rule of thumb is to decrease your training volume. Having both variables cranked will soon put you in a hole and experiencing regression. Now, a safety or an insurance policy you have when setting your training variables up is to make sure that you're not just taking your recovery days, but you're maximizing them. First thing to look at is sleep. Understand most of our recovery happens between the hours that we're between the sheets. This is where our body performs most of the muscle fiber repair and where key anabolic hormones are released, enabling the body to be successful at these lean muscle building processes. Look to get between 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, and if because of lifestyle or sleeping difficulties we can't seem to get those pillow hours up, we need to look at least to maximize the quality of the hours that we do have asleep. The use of key supplements such as magnesium, zinc, and vitamin D are well documented in how they assist in a good night's sleep. Specific sleep formulas are also available that contain these key ingredients, plus others, to assist in this critical recovery time. Outside of sleep is making sure that our off days are in fact off days. Going for a hike or deciding to take to the mountain bike track does not constitute as having an off day. Yes, you may not be in the gym, but you are still stressing your central nervous system. Instead, spend your off days as much as possible at physical rest, or at most, low-taxing physical effort. Activities that have been shown to help enhance overall recovery, both from localized muscle recovery as well as reducing overall cortisol, is forms of low-intensity yoga practices or meditation. If you feel your results have slowed, feel that your performance progress hasn't improved across the board in some time, then assessing your training and training variables in relation to your recovery should definitely be a key area to audit. Get the balance right and continue to adjust when required, and you'll continue to make noticeable progress for years to come. I'm Tyrone Bell, and I'll see you on the next one.